Now, while I would imagine that many of you are at least basically familiar with stringed instruments, I'm sure many of you guys would recognize a cello. But the reason why I'm here today is that this is not a cello. And I need to point this out because I swear, how many times I've gone through the stress of just walking through school and running from class to class with 10 minutes between classes, and somebody says, "Hey, is that a cello?" And I can stop and tell them and say, "No, actually it's a bass." And they go, "Oh, bye." And I've gone through this so many times that it's gotten to the point where I just accept defeat and they say, "Hey, is this a cello?" And I'm walking past them and say, "Yes." Now, so as you can see, today I'm hoping to inform you on what an upright bass specifically is, and as you can tell, what it isn't. So in going through that, I'll talk to you about the mechanics of how it works, the range of the instrument, as well as its role in a standard jazz ensemble like you would see here on campus. So to show you basically how a stringed instrument specifically, whether it be a bass, cello, or violin, you can take a rubber band and stretch just a little, and if you hold your ear close to it, you can hear the vibration, you can hear a specific pitch, and the tighter you pull it, or the less room you give to it, the higher the pitch will go. Now, of course, you can't really hear that from here, but as soon as you put a body on it, like this tissue box that I made myself, all of a sudden you can hear the vibration being projected in through the body and being projected outward. A bass is very much the same way in that you have a string that sits on top of a mechanism that vibrates through the body and projects outwards. So without the body, this would just sound like so essentially this is, as I said before, this is part of the string family, and the bass is of course the lowest one. You can tell because specifically, traditionally in the instrumentation world, the larger the instrument, the lower the sound is going to be. The smaller the instrument, the higher the pitch is going to be. So a bass would have the lowest pitch, cello would have more of a baritone mid-range, viola a little bit higher than that, and then the highest in the string family would be the violin. Now the range of the instrument, as you can see, you might not be able to read music, but from the left all the way to the right is the lowest pitch, ranging all the way through to the highest pitch. And essentially, it covers the lower spectrum of the sonic space, just like a tuba would, or maybe a bass trombone. And the other instruments sit on top of this, would start probably from the middle and go up from there. Now, to demonstrate the role of this instrument specifically in a jazz ensemble, I wanted to highlight it on some sort of a pyramid. So at the base of it, you can see this bass player and the drummer, and essentially they're filling in the time, the feel, and also the bass is setting the actual lowest pitch, is setting the harmonics up to work, so you can actually specifically hear where the music is going. And it sits at the bottom as the biggest support system for the arrangement of instruments in total. Next, on top of that, you'd have more choral instruments that would play the harmonies on top of the bass notes, and that would be something like a piano or perhaps a guitar. And of course, on top, when you hear a melody, you're usually hearing something maybe like a saxophone that's playing the lead instrument. And now, while you see it's at the top, so it's the most recognizable thing that's in your face when you hear a melody, you have to recognize that below it is the support system, and at the bottom of that, carrying most of that, would be the bass, or arguably the drums as well. Now I'm going to play a recording for you, and tried my best to take the bass out of it. And so listen to the first time around, the first chorus, and notice how empty the bottom feels when you hear just the drummer playing along with himself, the piano playing the chordal support on top of it, and as well as the, I think it's a saxophone in this recording, might be a trumpet, but that sits on top, but how it doesn't really come together until the bass enters. So we're missing a little bit of the bottom. So essentially, if you could point out the difference, the bass really sets the root motion for the chords, and without it, you're kind of just like, whoa, where is it? Where is tonal center? Where can I find out where we're going, where this music is headed? So from this, I hope that you take the knowledge of this and really know what the role of the upright bass is and what it's set out to do and what our job is really in the band. And please, I implore you to take this knowledge and spread it around your peers. You do need great service. Thank you.
I like the personal story that you have at the beginning, although I think that you need to play the flustered and frustrated person a little bit more right at the start so that it works a little bit better when you kind of get to that punchline about, yeah, it's a cello. And I also thought that since you started with that and you've got this concluding statement that said it would be a great service to you, and the reason you want to say that is so I don't have to answer anymore that it's a cello. That kind of thing. So that, I think, would tie it in together. It would remind us that what you started off with was a humorous point and you're finishing with a humorous point, but it would be clear that it's supposed to be humorous. All right, those are minor quibbles about the beginning and the end of the speech. All of the delivery stuff is really good. You do a nice job. Look, it's well planned when it comes to the visuals. You've got the stand-up bass integrated with the visuals that you have from the beginning. I kind of like that. That was clever. You then have the triangle that you're building up, the foundation of the music to, and then you get to the top, you explain all of that, and then you've got a piece of music that allows you to include your own bass playing as part of it. So I thought that worked well. It just seems like everything was planned very thoroughly and put together very carefully. So your preparation and the thought that went into it, I think, is deeply appreciated, and it worked for the most part. I like the way that you use the rubber band to kind of explain how we create the sound. You've got the little Kleenex box to add to it, and then we transition to the bass. All of that's explaining basic concepts in an easy way. You don't belabor it. You talk about it just for the right amount of time. That's good. You're usually looking at us during the presentation. You're not dependent on a bunch of notes going through. You know your subject, and it comes across that you know the subject. But it also comes across that you've got a plan as to how you're going to talk about it. There's a good preview at the beginning, and you're following a structure that makes perfect sense. It's all very logical the way it comes together. So I think that works really well. Sometimes I think maybe you're rushing a little bit on a couple of ideas. We could maybe, like I said, the early stuff, not so much, but when you're talking about the role of the bass in the ensemble there, I think we could use a little bit more example, a little bit more personal stuff that's going on there. Let's face it, you chose this. I assume that you play, since you're not dragging around that thing that people mistake as a cello for no reason. So you're engaged in that process of doing that sort of thing. So you should share a little bit about yourself and your experience and why you're doing those kinds of things. I think it would add more personality. You've got good personality in the presentation and you deliver everything really well. I just think there are places where you could, you left the corner without the mayonnaise, and you want to spread it out a little bit,
Sure.
and make it more full. That's all.
Sure.
You know, you didn't do anything wrong. Everything's good, and you did an exceptional job on a lot of things. Just what else could you do that would make it a little bit better? Little bits and pieces here and there. All right, thank you.